Hello, OWL members, and welcome to our third installment of our new Inside the OWL Studio video program. As a reminder, Inside the OWL Studio will highlight one of OWL's partner sponsors and their organization's specific activities and initiatives around diversity, inclusion, and belonging. The format of the program will be similar to a program called Inside the Actors Studio with James Lipton. At the conclusion of the interview, I will ask the same 4 questions of our interviewees. I'm thrilled to announce this month's Inside the OWL Studio will feature Johnson & Johnson Vision. J&J has been a valued partner of OWL since 2013 and have also been supportive in providing representation on the OWL board. Without further delay, I would like to introduce this month's interviewee, Nikki Sidi, Vice President, Global Strategic Marketing, Surgical at Johnson & Johnson Vision. Hello, Nikki, and thank you for being here and welcome to the OWL Studio.
Hello, thank you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to just jump into things today. And as you know, OWL's mission is advancing diversity and leadership and continuing to strive to create networking and educational opportunities to support this mission. So for me, listening and learning from others is a crucial way to implement change and set new benchmarks for the organization. So today, I'm very interested in hearing from you about specific initiatives and activities J&J is utilizing to address diversity, inclusion, and belonging. So I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Great, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity. I mean, this is such an important topic. It's been an important topic for Johnson & Johnson for many, many years. And certainly now in the environment we live in, it's become even more elevated, which is lovely to see that so many people are focusing on it. I love the efforts that you guys put against it, because I think it is collectively, only when we collectively work together can we truly make the impact that we all want to see. But Johnson & Johnson, for it's part of who we are, is believing in the impact that we can make in the world and truly changing the trajectory of health for humanity. It's a tall order. But when we talk about having a healthier future for everyone, it really means recognizing the powerful opportunity that a culture of belonging offers us. And so everyone means everyone, and we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion as kind of our approach to tackling this. And it's not just because it's the right thing to do. It's not just a moral imperative. It's who we are at J&J. It's the lifeblood of our business, and it's the lens by which we look through everything. And I think diversity, equity, inclusion. It's how do you advance a culture where you've got open hearts, open minds to really unleash the potential of this incredible mix of people that we have in every corner of our organization, whether it's race, creed, ethnicity, gender, orientation, skill set, right? Yeah. And there's so many different ways to look at diversity. And I love that these days we're taking a much broader perspective on diversity, because there's room for everyone to contribute in that way. And it's also business imperative. I mean, you guys know very well the stats around companies that do have diverse workforces, right? I think it was Harvard Business Review did a study. Those that had better diversity had 19% higher innovation revenues. Those with diverse companies are 45% more likely to report that they actually capture a larger portion of the market, which makes sense, right? If you're going to go, you need to reflect the customers that you are seeking to bring into your business. So that's not surprising. 70%, I think, of diverse companies are more likely to have entered a new market in the past year. Again, because I think when you have diversity of thought and experience, your perspective literally is more diverse, so you see more opportunity. So I think it's not just the right thing to do. It's not just our responsibility and morally and socially to do, but financially and from a business perspective, it's the right thing to do. So, the other thing I'll add a little bit on the background of J&J, why this is so personal for us, is because of our credo. And you may or may not know that we have a credo. It's really what drives us to make our decisions and everything we do. And it's a moral code, essentially, that really challenges us to put people first. So, there's an order to the credo. It was written back in 1943, and it talks about putting our patients and our customers first. Second is about our employees. The third priority is our communities. And the fourth is the shareholder. And to think that this was done back in the 40s, where that really wasn't the way people approached it, I think it's a testament to what has made J&J so strong over these, over 100 years to continue to be a leader. And it's because of that. And, just in, I think it was 2018, when we celebrated the 75th anniversary, we actually made a change to the credo. And it was the first time in decades that we had done that. And it was to include the focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we put very specific language that, we're looking to promote and foster an inclusive, diverse workplace where everyone feels like they belong. And I think it's really important for us to continue to not just say that, but then to have the actions behind it. So, as far as some of the actions goes, the three strategies or three areas we're really focusing on at J&J is the first is just advancing that culture of inclusion and innovation. So how do you make sure that all the employees feel included? How do you make sure there's programs around inclusion and innovation, and not just for employees, for our customers as well, right? For our customers, everyone we interact with, making sure that we're advancing that culture of inclusion and innovation. Second is around our diverse workforce. So how do we build a diverse workforce for now and into the future? Again, we very specifically, we now ensure that we have diverse slates when we have any open positions, particularly as the positions get more senior. We know from a lot of research that we lose diversity as seniority increases. So it's really important to make sure that we have a diverse slate of candidates as we're looking at any open positions. And, I think it's important to know it's not just the slate that is important, it's the interview panelists that need to be diverse as well. So that, you're having a broader perspective of the diversity and experiences that each of those interviews have. So it's not just about the slate, but it's about, how you're interviewing, who is part of that interview panel, and really taking that across to, how we go after talent acquisition, the partnerships that we have that we're creating with a lot of the universities that are more diverse, and making sure that we're getting that funnel of talent early with partnerships with societies and industry partners that really foster that type of diversity. So I think that's really important for us. We've got a lot of great executive sponsorships, because we know a key to success in your career is around having that sponsorship. So making sure that we identify our talent, our diverse talent, and we help them and we accelerate them where possible, and just giving them that exposure. And, a lot of it also goes to educating. One of the things that we're really passionate about is building and sustaining allies. So that this notion of, if you see something and if you notice something, you have to be an ally and speak out, right? If you see a behavior that may not serve a certain community or population, then make sure you're speaking up, right? And not speaking up when you notice something is no longer with the culture that we want to embody. So we're really passionate about the allyship program that we're rolling out. So how do you create allies? And because we know that that's critical to ensure our diversity, equity, and inclusion is meaningful and it actually has lasting impact. And that people understand why we're doing it. We're not doing it just because it's the thing to do. We're doing it because it's grounded in a lot of good insight, and we believe it's the way that we're going to make a big impact. And lastly, the third pillar is, and this is where I truly believe J&J is unique to make an impact, is what is our role as leaders in healthcare to drive change, right? As big of a company as J&J is, we have a responsibility and we have a voice, we have a seat at the table to be able to be a driver of change in the world at large. So a lot of efforts behind how do we get to underserved communities, how do we get to Black communities and make sure they have access to healthcare in the same way a lot of the other communities have. And I think, specifically for ophthalmology, there's a huge opportunity for us there as well to be leaders in driving that change of access. Access in general, as you all well know, is a huge opportunity for ophthalmology across the board, but certainly if you look at underserved communities, it's an area where there's a huge opportunity for us to make an impact, and not just for the patients, but I think just the industry as a whole, right? How does industry help a lot of the younger, more diverse surgeons that are coming through? How do we help elevate them? How do we support them? How do we sponsor them? Women leaders in ophthalmology, right? That you guys probably know better than I do, but I think it's like 50% of ophthalmologists graduating are female. But as you look at the more leadership positions, what does that mix look like? And what is the role J&J can play in impacting that long term? So that's kind of the third, is our role as leaders in healthcare to drive change.
Nikki, this has been so amazing to hear what J&J is doing. Truly, it's remarkable. And I commend you and your organization for everything that you're doing. Some takeaways for me. Number one is when you're talking about your slate, and it's not just making sure the slate is diverse, but I honestly, that is like, it was a light bulb for me to say, okay, but it's important also to have those people that are interviewing or looking at the slate or the talent coming through, that they're also diverse. I think that's hugely important.
100%.
And yeah, I really think that's crucial. And then also when you talk about kind of the leadership role J&J is playing, and tied into there, I want to go back to education. I think education is paramount. Al, we do a lot of networking, but education is right there as well. And I think that's how you can implement over time a change in attitude, a change in thinking, a change in how you operate as an organization, and hopefully change people inside, right? And create an environment where one of these days we won't have to be disciplined and think about these things, but right. I commend you, and I think it's amazing everything that J&J is doing. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I just love the point about education, because how do you make sure that people actually empathize with their other counterparts, right? And we have more in common than we have differences, but you need to understand the differences. You need to understand the history. You need to understand the shoes that other people walk in, to really embrace this, because this diversity, equity, and inclusion isn't just for those groups, it's for everybody. And we need everybody on board understanding and being educated to actually, move the needle the way we need to. Yeah, and when you say, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we kind of can loop back. I think you brought this up at the very beginning, is the belonging. And that belonging kind of element to all of this is where we want to end up, with your employees, your counterparts, everybody within an organization, to feel comfortable, to feel a part of something. And that's when people are their best.
Yeah.
Right. So I think as a leader, I want the best out of every single individual and talent that I have in the organization. And you only get the best when people are allowed to be their most authentic self. Right. And if you've got a group of people worried about being authentic and being themselves, and what do I say and how do I say it, and will I be judged, and what if they think I got this job because of this, or that I'm not qualified because of that? We don't need any of. There's too many other problems to solve in our businesses than people trying to hide who they are, not being authentic. So again, it's not just the right thing to do. It is, and we should be doing it. It's our responsibility. But that's how you get the best out of your people, and then, which then ultimately turns into business results.
I love it. I think that's a good place to end. And we're just going to go quickly through our set of questions for you, Nikki. What is your favorite word in ophthalmology?
My favorite word is, these days, my favorite word is unprecedented. Because 2020 was an unprecedented time. The transformation we went through as a society, whether, even on the diversity, equity, inclusion, whether obviously COVID, it's been unprecedented. And I think, and then when I look at in ophthalmology, the patient needs are unprecedented, right? You look at the myopia epidemic, or just the sheer number of patients who don't get access. It's incredible how much opportunity is ahead of us. And, particularly for J&J as well, this year we're talking a lot about our unprecedented pipeline. So I'm very excited about that. We've got a lot of new products coming to the market. We just launched Technis iHands into the US. We've got a lot of other new products coming. A Technis Synergy. We've got our new phaco platform coming to more in the US later this year and globally. So there's a lot of, we've got an unprecedented pipeline, unprecedented environment, and really a lot of opportunity to make an impact.
Awesome. So what is your least favorite word in ophthalmology?
Yeah, I think truly it's blindness. And, I was reflecting on that because it's so sad, because so much of it is preventable. Many of us know the stats on the number of cause of preventable blindness is cataract. We know, that 80% of visual impairments are preventable. Half of the people that need treatment, of them, only 10% get actual care. So there's, and it's just, I think it's so sad every time we talk about blindness, because there's so much we can do to prevent it. And so every time we talk about that, I think it's just one of those things that just makes you shake your head but pushes you to want to do more.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Now, if you could have another role in ophthalmology besides the one you currently have, what would it be?
So I think I would love to continue. I love being as close to the customers as possible. So that's something that part of my job that I love in global marketing. I would love to get into Asia, actually. I think there's so much opportunity in that market. There's so many exciting things that are happening, and whether it's the middle class is growing, the access that is finally being unlocked. So I would love to get into my feet wet a little bit in some of the other markets.
Very cool. And what role within ophthalmology would you not want to attempt? Something you just wouldn't.
That one's hard, just because I think every role is so important. And I think there's no one role that you can take out and the whole thing in some ways doesn't fall apart. I would say that I give so much credit and kudos to my partners in manufacturing and supply chain who do all the work in the back end to make sure that we actually have solutions to deliver to our patients. But it's probably an area that I would leave to those experts and not dive into myself.
For sure. I agree with you on that. If you could do one singular thing to contribute to diverse leadership in the ophthalmic space, what would it be?
I would love to see more diversity of women be expanded, whether it's through industry and all the various companies that partake, as well as our surgeons and the leadership roles that they have access to. I think there's so much we can do with women in ophthalmology. And I think that, the women that I have come across in ophthalmology they're brilliant, they're smart, they have a lot to offer. And I think that the whole industry, whether it's within companies and enhancing our representation of female leaders globally, actually, as well as, how can we support young women ophthalmologists to help them progress in their career? Because I do think industry plays a role, right? We choose the surgeons that we want to partner with. You choose the surgeons that you bring in early on to be part of the innovation process. You choose speakers for many of the sponsorship programs we do. So there's a lot of areas that industry can help promote female talent. And I think I'd love for J&J and certainly the industry as a whole to make an impact there.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm not sure if you know the genesis of the OWL organization, but it was founded as Ophthalmic Women Leaders. So it's obviously near and dear to the organization and something we always continue to try to develop and make sure we're doing what we can in that area that you just discussed. And, for me too, I think it goes even farther back, in terms of how do we engage more minorities that are going to med school to be interested in ophthalmology?
Absolutely.
Even before they get to that point where we can start utilizing them within the industry, et cetera. So totally agree. And then my last question, this is the surprise. If you could go anywhere this upcoming weekend, where would you go?
If I could go to my friend's house, really. To anywhere, just get me out of the house. I think, half joking, but I think for me, if I could go anywhere, that would be local, just heading to the beach. Santa Barbara, it's one of those spots that my husband and I love. Beautiful scenery, beautiful weather, great food. Just getting out, getting some sunshine and some beach.
Awesome.
Would be the way to go. But I'll take a friend's house as well.
Either or.
And hopefully we'll be there. Yeah, but hopefully I'll be there very soon. As I know 2021 is looking very promising.
Yes, I agree. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much to J&J and all that you're doing around diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and all that you do for OWL. Without your partnership, we wouldn't be where we're at, and just so very grateful. So thank you.
And vice versa. Thank you so much.